Representative Adam Kinzinger has announced that he is not going to be seeking re-election, which some people, Donald Trump, very glad to hear about. Here is his announcement.
Dehumanizing each other has become the norm. We've taken it from social media to the streets. We've allowed leaders to reach power selling the false premise that strength comes from degrading others and dehumanizing those that look, act, or think differently than we do. As a country, we've fallen for those lies, and now we face a poisoned country filled with outrage blinding our ability to achieve real strength. It has become increasingly obvious to me that as a country, we must unplug from the mistruths we've been fed. In Congress, I've witnessed how division is heavily rooted. There's little to no desire to bridge our differences, and unity is no longer a word we use. It has also become increasingly obvious to me that in order to break the narrative, I cannot focus on both a re-election to Congress and a broader fight nationwide. I want to make it clear, this isn't the end of my political future, but the beginning.
Okay, you can make that clear. You can't necessarily make that true. But Kinzinger, look, has, to the extent that virtually any elected Republican has, he has occasionally gone against Donald Trump in significant ways, including on impeachment. And Donald Trump has hated that, and he has not forgotten. He, in fact, greeted the announcement by Kinzinger there, writing 2 down, 8 to go in a statement. So he's happy about it at the very least. So look, this is a complicated case. I mean, Kinzinger has a couple of different problems facing him in any potential attempt at getting reelected. One is that Trump is going to hound him to the end of his days. That's a problem in a party that has been so dominated by Trumpism. But then there's also redistricting. There's the natural process that we're now engaged in. So the reshaping of congressional districts was likely a factor because of Illinois redistricting after the 2020 census. GOP Representative Darren LaHood in Kinzinger's district would be in the same district, according to an updated map released hours earlier today. If that were the case, LaHood and Kinzinger would have to run in the same June 2022 Republican primary. And that map is expected to be signed into law. So you have redistricting and the Trump thing. And for Kinzinger in particular, those two things do not combine well. It's bad enough to have to run at all, but against another established Republican that is likely not hated nearly as much by Donald Trump. That's just a lot of strikes against him in trying to get elected again.
Yeah, I think that he had almost no chance. So when a politician voluntarily leaves, 9 out of 10 times it is not voluntary. So they're unlikely to win. Or my favorite that I always tell you guys is Senator Danforth, who was UN ambassador for Bush, and he thought Bush was so reprehensible, and he was a solid right winger in the Senate, right? But he just couldn't stomach all the war crimes, et cetera, that we were doing and that he had to defend in the United Nations. So he said that his wife had twisted her ankle. He had to leave, okay? It's almost never the reason they gave you, okay? So, and sometimes they do it to take giant lobbyist jobs and corporate jobs, et cetera. In Kinzinger's case, it's super obvious, especially with the redistricting. He had almost no chance of winning. If you oppose Trump and you're for truth, and not decency, because he's a Republican. I disagree with him on everything else. And he takes corporate money and he sells us out. Kinzinger is not like some sort of American hero or anything like that. But all he was doing was the very, very bare minimum, which is, can we just stop lying? We all know that Trump didn't win. We all know there was no election fraud. We all know there was no evidence. We all know it's a bad idea to break into the Capitol and threaten to murder people. And for that is a capital offense in the Republican Party. Your career will be executed, and it was.
And Trumpism is, ruling the day, and Donald J. Trump is not going to stop going after electeds just like him. You talk about using the full force and weight of his power and authority. Hello, somebody. Can we do that on the Democratic side for good? But no, Trump owns the party, and so anybody that transgresses him is in his sights.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we just want people to use that power and authority for something, like sane. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Yeah, and look at the state of the Republicans. I mean, honestly, like in the past couple of days, I mean, this is the inevitable consequences of it. Kinzinger like voted, what do we think he voted with Trump? 98%, 99% of the time, other than the impeachment vote effectively, voted with him. And because you went against Trump very briefly, 30% of the country will hate you until your dying day. Yeah. You're done, you don't get to be in politics anymore. And Neil Cavuto on Fox News, he just had COVID, he's immunocompromised, he's vaccinated, he had COVID, and he came back and he said, can we like stop being political about this? Just get vaccinated, and they're sending him death threats. So look, I understand that we're all lefties, so we're all proponents of cancel culture, but you guys have your own special brand of it, where you can't take the slightest disagreement without literally banning people from media, from politics, not briefly, for the rest of their life. So like cancel culture really just means like, don't tell me I can't say like the N-word or I can't do blackface or something. That's cancel culture. But driving someone out of their career because they ask you to not die of a disease, or they point out that a politician supported a coup, it's insane the double standard that we have as a country.
Asking your party to embrace the truth, which Kinzinger is on record of. Yeah, he has transgressed. He's out of there.
He's transgressed.
Inconvenient truths.
I'm going to quickly just build on what John and Nina said. So look, right now, if I tell right wingers Trump canceled Kinzinger, you know what you're going to say. You're going to be thrilled, right? You're going to be like, yes, that's what he gets for siding against us, right? Well, then you can't say you're against cancel culture. You can just say, I want to cancel the people I don't like, and I don't want you to cancel us when we do bad things. Yeah. Just be super clear about that. John's 100% right. Now to what Nina's saying, now look at how easily Trump can eliminate his political opponents. And then Biden tells us it's not possible. He's like, I have to give Manchin and Sinema everything they want because I have nothing at my disposal. Whereas Trump's like, you, pa-ding, okay, and he does it with a tweet or now these weirdo emails that he sends out, etc. He just gives you a stink eye and you're eliminated from the Republican Party. So it's not that it's not possible, there's no question. And the right-wing voters were so frustrated with the establishment, and I would argue reasonably so, that they made the mistake of going with a guy who's a tough guy, but only for his own purposes, right? For his own selfish purposes. But imagine if we had a progressive, a Democrat, who did it for good for their voters and said, look, man, our voters want lower drug prices. And it's not just my voters in my district. 90% of Americans want lower drug prices. You oppose us and we will cancel you. You want to cry about cancel culture? I want you to cry, okay? I'm gonna hand you a towel, I'm gonna bring you a box of tissues, and I want you to use all of them. But if you say that you want higher drug prices for our voters, you are going to get canceled. I'm gonna make sure that you never work in politics again. And in fact, when you go to try to get a lobbyist job, I'm gonna tell that company, you're never gonna lobby the president of the United States if you hire Joe Manchin. Okay, there is hardball. Trump knows how to play it.
Yes, he does.
Right?
He's a master at it.
And Biden doesn't. That is why Trump appears to be strong. He's very insecure and actually weak, but he has the appearance of strength, whereas Biden has the appearance in reality of weakness.
Yeah.
And I wish it weren't the case. I don't want Trump to win.
No, absolutely.
Right? I want Biden to win in Biden versus Trump. Yeah. But my job is to be honest with you guys, and that is what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some things are worth canceling for. And what we're fighting for right now, paid family leave, is worth canceling for. Lowering the cost of prescription drugs, worth canceling for. Standing up to say we're gonna save Mother Earth, definitely worth canceling for.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.